tryna force it. Down bad before Mimi and mine's courtship. Circling the sun, that's a different type of orbit. Then I fell on my face, but it must have been the Lord's gift. After that, I went from death to life. Only one time he ever said to test him right. The best replies to testify. He conquered it all. He conquered my fall in his presence. Why? I went from death to life. Now there's no reason to be stressing like he did it. It's time to testify. Let's first get the verse and the essence right. You get it? Death to life. Death to life. He did it. Death to life. Let's first get the verse and the essence right. You get it? John 5:24 and it reads, I tell you the truth, whoever listens and believes in God who sent Christ will have eternal life. No condemnation, they cross from death to life. No life to death, no walking dead. I'd rather walk the talk and shine my light instead. Who can ideate the darkest Friday would have transformed to this new life inside me? Cause Sunday came, I went from death to life. Now there's no reason to be stressing like he did it. It's time to testify. Let's first get the verse and the essence right. You get it? I went from death to life. Now there's no reason to be stressing like he did it. It's time to testify. Let's first get the verse and the essence right. You get it? Death to life. To life. To life. To life. To life. Death to life. To life. To life. Death to life. Death to life. To life. To life. To life. To life. Death to life.
We are live! Hey yo, before you come in, take your shoes off. Get your super chats ready. Your questions are getting answered live. But first, shout out to the patrons and the channel members. Check it out, never miss the after party again. Sign up right now on Patreon for as little as $5 a month and access every replay. Put it in the budget. I'm telling you, we are essential. Y'all already know what time it is. Welcome to the after party with Ruslan.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. We're live. And I need you, yes, you, to drop your location in the chat. I need you, yes, you, to drop where you're watching this at. We have the premium partners on Patreon. We have the mods, and we have you all the way live from Los Angeles, Minneapolis, Serbia, Albania, Connecticut, Palestine, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Boston, Hartsville, South Carolina, Paris, France, Huntington Beach, Nigeria, Bend, Oregon, Arizona. Ladies and gentlemen, we we're live. And we have Zach Spadazo.
Wow. I got reverb. I got echo. And there's no place I'd rather be than here with you and me.
All right. Drop your location in the chat. Let me know where you're watching this at. I'd love to hear from you guys. Shout out to the folks.
Did you cut off my echo in the middle of my
I cut off your echo. I meant to cut off my echo.
Fair
but
enough.
apparently this is my echo in that.
Check. Oh, no. Oh, there we go.
Woo! That's your echo. Okay. There's some good stuff in here. I thought there were some topics in here. Let's jump into this Abe Lincoln clip if we can. Can we do that?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm gonna start this recorder.
Recording.
Bang bang.
Bam bam.
Drop your
bam,
location. Let me know where you're watching this at. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so can you pull up a picture of Abraham Lincoln for me?
Yeah.
You did see a Bless God windbreaker on me. I don't know if it's on the website. Did we add that on the website?
Blessed God Windbreaker or no?
I think that'd have to be through Printify. I don't think so.
Um,
Fix that little.
I was wearing one. It's a Champs one. So we might need to add that to the shop.
Add that boy back.
This is the new, by the way, priest provider
oh my
protector.
goodness,
piece.
that's disgustingly good. That's fire.
Just in time for Father's Day.
All right, I have a question for you guys that are here in the chat. Is the style, is the specific style of the art that we've been doing, does it get old? Like, do you guys want different styles for different drops, or are you guys digging the fact that we have a theme or like a style
Like ongoing
for all the different themes?
collaboration with
Yeah.
Sword
Because
and Pencil.
I'm biased and I really like it. Like I just really like it, and it just doesn't get old for me. But I want to know, do you guys want to see different styles as well? Because it's years are long. We can go somewhere else. But if you love the style, I mean, I'm vibing with it too.
Someone said I love the style. Shout out to MW. She says, "OMG, I used the book discount code to get the bomber reversible jet." You got to steal on that thing. We probably lost money on that item.
Wait to get the reversible denim jacket.
Because I was at what 25% off discount code.
Yeah, and we have like a 10% margin on that.
So
thing.
excited to surprise my 16-year-old with it. But if you guys didn't know, today is today the last day? Today is the last day to get the Godly Ambition offer. If you go pre-order my new book, Godly Ambition, which doesn't come out till September, the reason why we're pushing this so hard is those of you guys that pre-order it now help us to first week numbers. First week numbers help with bestsellers list. So if you pre-order this, grab a screenshot, go to mygodlyambition.com, hit claim this offer. You'll get a 25% off discount code to the Blessed God shop. Sneak peek for the first two chapters. And then this is expiring today. We might keep some sort of discount code going, but this is expiring today to be one of 10 people to win an early advance copy of my book months before it hits the public. So go scoop that up, because if you're smart, like MW was, you can get the most expensive item on our store, which we're already not making much money on, our reversible Armor of God jacket. Where is it? Let me see. My favorite thing that I've ever I don't even feel right calling it merch. Calling it merch feels gross.
Yuck.
This is the favorite thing I think we've ever made. It's a reversible Japanese salvage denim jacket.
American made in
Los Angeles, which is why we had so many hiccups with it. And we don't have many of these left. We got just enough to fulfill pre-orders and like a handful of others. So if you look, like it's already, the sizes are sold out. White patches is a few.
black patch options.
Yeah, black patch options, black patch. So there's not a lot left. So anyway, shout out to MW for picking that up. So if you want to get laced up with a fire discount, pre-order Godly Ambition on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Get a screen grab of your pre-order. Go here. Hit claim this offer.
Someone said unisex? I would say so.
Yeah, I would say unisex for sure. Just get the smaller size. And then put all this in. And again, this is those of you guys that know anything about denim, like Japanese salvage denim. It's heavy and it's reversible to where it's a bomber jacket. And there's patches that symbolize all the armor of God, things from the scripture. So anyway, I love the style, but mixing in a different style with a couple pieces here and there while keeping the same will be dope. Yeah, I think we could. Yeah, there's an audiobook coming, but I would prefer if you ordered the physical, because again, that helps with first week sales. And it's one of those things. If we hit a certain number of first week sales, then that opens us up to New York Times bestsellers list and the momentum of all that. So, yes, there will be an audiobook. I haven't recorded it yet, but there definitely will be an audiobook. And Brother Joseph, don't worry about it, man. I know a little bit more about your situation, so don't feel pressured at all. You're doing a good job in terms of taking care of your responsibilities and the stuff you got going on. But if you have the means, $23.99 on Amazon.
Yep.
Pre-order that mug. Okay. Let me start this recording again. Yeah, definitely. I love that Gary Vee audiobook. All right. Was Abraham Lincoln a part of the LGTV community? Apparently, this new documentary coming out, that is the question that people are asking. I almost thought this was a joke because it was a comedian reacting to it, which shout out to this brother. But I think this is a real documentary that they're piecing together.
It feels in the same vein. Brought to you by the creators of Jesus Was a Vegan, right? It's the same vein a little bit.
Except that was real. Jesus Was a Vegan was a real thing, and this is a real documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and play it. So shout out to Ryan, Long Comedy. He did this reaction. Abraham Lincoln reacts to documentary, calling him part of the LGBT community.
Crazy.
All right, go ahead.
Another biopic about me, so I'm just going to watch the trailer.
He is considered a sacred figure by both Republicans and Democrats.
He led the nation through its greatest crisis.
I did.
He's on our currency. We build monuments to him.
Guilty.
He's the greatest president the United States has ever had.
Today, the big question that people are asking is, was Abraham Lincoln gay?
This is woke brain.
Yeah. Who's we? Who's
Who
everybody?
are these people?
Who's everybody asking what?
Who are these people? And why are they asking this?
Yeah.
And how is it relevant? Let's just concede for a moment. Let's just concede for a moment that he was, hypothetically.
Okay.
Say he was.
Say he was
had
bi.
Say he had a whole situation on the side.
He was B-side.
He was B-side. Say it was suppressed to the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on.
So best Christian scenario considering this thing is true, hypothetically. Yeah. What difference does that make now? And who cares now?
I hate to be that guy, but it's what they said in the beginning. It is the most beloved figure in history, American history, from Republicans and Democrats. And to be a true Democratic hero,
you gotta be part of the.
you gotta be gay.
Oh no! All right, play a little bit more of this.
In the 19th century, for many
Who's asking
men,
that?
their closest relationship
Who's asking
I
the
mean,
same
yeah, I
for
have
women.
a jovial
Men
demeanor.
would live with another man when they're single, and often did, and shared beds.
Lincoln
was a
probably
friend.
slept in the same bed with men more than he did with women.
No, he didn't.
Put together
I
all of
honest
it.
to God, never did
It's
that.
really startling.
It's actually
Okay,
not that.
okay. So now I guess the working hypothesis is that apparently at one point in time he had a friend and they would share the same bed.
This is like the David and
David and Jonathan theory.
David and Jonathan theory.
Well, no, my thing would be, and I don't mean to be, how do I say this? If you've never been poor as a kid, you wouldn't understand that like not everybody gets a bed, dog.
Yeah.
So if you got brothers, if you got cousins, if you're growing up, oftentimes they would share a bed. So Abraham Lincoln 150 years ago, probably growing up poor or poor by today's standard.
Traveling with your boy.
Yeah.
And then there's one bed.
It's one bed.
What are you gonna do? Sleep on the ground?
Yeah, this isn't like everyone had their own rooms with their own Legoland collection branding on the wall.
Well,
and
we
their
have
posters.
a king available, and we have a 2 side-by-side queen. Which would you guys like? We'll take the one king. I don't think it was that
Yeah, I don't think it
scenario.
was that.
There wasn't continental breakfast in the morning.
Right.
Looking gun, here it is.
But
I'm
then
game
you
for
see
freeing
all these
slaves.
shifts to the end of the 19th century.
Oh my
gosh.
Oh, it's been appropriated.
Of course.
It's been appropriated.
He's like,
it's like the only way Abraham Lincoln can stay one of the greatest president is if the pink mafia gives him the stamp.
Come on, somebody.
They got it. They got to stamp it.
Yep.
You know?
He can't just be a straight white male.
Nope. Nope. No straight white male has ever done anything good.
Yep.
Any contributions to history can't be straight white male.
Come on.
Einstein out.
Einstein out. Yeah.
This guy.
If you can accept a queer Lincoln, you can accept queer people overall.
Wait. That's the hypothesis?
Yeah. If you're gonna accept a queer Lincoln. That's the thing. Is that if he's gonna be the mascot of both sides, then we gotta win him. Lover of Men is the name of the documentary.
Wow.
Men? Nope, there's some technical glitch. They just dropped another biopic about me.
All right.
Wow.
Okay, first of all, big shout out to, this is not a stamp of everything Ryan Long does, but big shout out to him for bringing this on our radar. He has a tour coming up, and I thought that was great. I thought, from a content standpoint, all jokes aside, that's pretty funny, dressed up as a comedian and then like react to a documentary of it to promote your tour. Kind of fire.
Yeah.
But Abraham Lincoln, being, this is something that Christians get pushed back on if you think about it.
Okay.
The skeptic community, the atheist community, right? They're like, yo, you guys want to claim all the best minds for yourselves as Christians.
Yeah.
Right? And now that's what the LGTB is doing. They're trying to claim all the best minds. I think the same thing was about Da Vinci. I think that, Lincoln, like everyone has to be a part of this community
Wow.
And so if you think about it, they're appropriating
Throwing
the
it right.
same way they're accusing Christians of appropriating, because what do we got? We got the universities, we got the hospitals, we got abolishing slavery. We got Christians done a lot of good things, right? Most modern music, pop music. So now they took one out of our playbook and they said, we're claiming them. We're claiming them. Claiming everybody.
Yeah.
Isaac Newton.
It would work out.
Right? Law of gravity. That was us.
That was us?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Isaac Newton wrote more about theology than he did about physics.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
The difference is that you could actually look up the fact that Isaac Newton wrote about more theology than he did about physics. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln potentially sharing a bed with some guy that he was close with.
He's traveling.
It's not a great working theory where you then put the drag queen our mascot in the trailer to drive home your point.
Yeah, not great. What do you think? Who do you think would be the next person they'd have to claim as gay? Who do you think in 150 years on the right would they have to claim as gay in 150 years from now because what they're doing is so good?
I know who they would claim on the left, but on the right, they're definitely going to claim like a George Bush.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
But with the whole Iraq thing?
With the whole Iraq thing, they'll say that he was like overcompensating for his inferiority. They'll figure out a way to spin it.
Maybe the Michelle Obama is actually a trans man thing. Will actually
she slipped up and said something. We'll look at that next in a second.
Is Michelle Obama trans?
Chill. No, I said she slipped up and said something.
Oh, mentioned that she knew.
No, we'll get that.
She's trans.
Stop. Clip that out. We're not doing that. We'll look at it next.
Flip up and say something. What?
I'll tell you. Let's finish the daggone topic before you get me to the next topic.
Oh my goodness.
Clip that out, please. She did not come out. We're gonna look at it next.
She came out.
The chat is saying Elon Musk.
Oh, that's a good one.
Elon Musk.
Yes.
Strong overlap between autism and transformer ideology.
Come on. I think in 150 years, I'll be like, wow, this guy did so much for.
He had so many kids because he was overcompensating for his downloaded, closeted desires.
Yeah. And I think they'll say he did so much for society that they would want to claim him, but they would have to do something to make up for the fact that he supported Trump for like 4 years. Right. So they'll be like, well, he was actually gay.
Yeah. I can see Elon. I can see George Bush.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me stop this recording. All right, Chris, first recording's done. All right. Let me show you this Michelle thing for you. Freaking completely fumbled the bag. No, just kidding.
Michelle is trans. Can't believe it.
She's not trans. I knew what they were saying.
Our noise gate's nasty.
It was still pretty funny.
Oh no.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to find without a crazy title of it. Okay, this guy.
Community guidelines.
Yeah. So remember when I just want one without looking super.
I can zoom in so we don't see the title. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me zoom in.
Okay, go ahead. All right. I feel so bad for everyone. He's probably in heaven. Okay, ready?
Yes.
All right. I think everybody likes a good joke, a good gaffe, you kind of said something goofy and now they're going to capture this moment and replay it over and over again. This is the wrong clip because it's longer. I want to play it in full context. So find me one that's like a version that's like a minute long, I think. 38 seconds. I'll take 38 seconds.
But they're different. She's wearing a different shirt. It's a completely different clip.
Okay.
Let's find it.
I could have sworn there was a longer one I saw.
23. They don't want to give her any context, huh?
Yeah, that's messed up. Okay, go back. So just play the 23 second
Play the 23 second one, and then we'll go hunt it down while you're talking.
Well, we can go to the community guidelines. They instantly got struck.
I want to make sure.
I mean, not the community notes.
Community notes. Yeah. There we go. This one has community notes.
Okay. So, Michelle Obama was sitting down with Marlon Wayans, who is raising a transformer child, and said something, and there's been this ongoing conspiracy about her being a part of that community as well. And she said something that instantly got clipped and got robbed. Now, again, even as a, even 23 seconds should already make you be suspicious on why is there only 23 seconds of this?
Hello.
Right? But she did fumble in this and is out here looking a little crazy.
All right, let's hear it.
Go ahead.
I wanted to talk, Marlon, a bit about, just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Okay, pause it. So already, to me, okay, what are we celebrating? We're celebrating him being a role model for dealing with the so we're normalizing the delusion. So I'm already irritated. I don't need the second part.
Yeah,
I don't need the second part. I'm all right. Oh, okay, I know what you're representing. You're for this stuff that's being pushed. Which, by the way, UK comes out, says that we shouldn't be pushing this stuff. That it's not good for kids. We're suspending the use of affirming care medication on children who can't consent to getting a tattoo, can't drive a car, but they can make irreparable changes to their body. And you're cool with this sort of stuff. That to me is articulates already where she's at.
Yeah.
Politics aside, because I don't think this is political.
Yeah.
That already articulates to me where it's at. Now, what she says next was the part that it was like a gotcha moment. And I was just like, this is enough for me. Like the first part is already like
ugh, that's a gotcha moment.
Yeah, that's the gotcha moment. Go ahead.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a Black man. Would you care to share that journey of?
Well, I caught it.
You caught it.
I caught it. Wow. So she says, that warms my heart.
As a Black man.
As a Black man.
So what do you think was clipped and the thing that was trending?
Yeah, that she's a transformer.
Yeah.
I think what she was saying was,
anyone with a brain knows what she was saying.
I think that warms my heart. As a Black man.
You as a Black man. Right? Because she's talking to a Black man.
She didn't put the period in there strong enough.
Right.
Like it wasn't.
Right.
I gotta say the vocal fry of her voice though is ungodly, and it's taken me out. I'll say stick to books, okay?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, maybe there's people sitting down and checking out a Michelle Obama podcast.
Yeah, those haters hate watching a Michelle Obama podcast.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely what's happening. So now pull back and look at the community guidelines. So this was posted by, go up, hold on. I want to show who posted this. So this is
End Wokeness.
End Wokeness, which they post some funny stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so the community guidelines says, hold on, read the caption.
It says, Michelle Obama, you're raising a trans kid that warms my heart, comma, as a Black man. Period. That's not how it was supposed to read, but here we are.
The caption misrepresents Michelle Obama's words. She is asking her podcast guest Marlon Wayans about his transformer child. An accurate transcript would start a sentence after heart. That warms my heart, particularly as a Black man. Would you care to share?
That is so cool.
What is so cool?
Is this like a real human that writes the community guidelines thing, or is that?
Oh
AI?
yeah. There's people. I think it might be AI mixed with humans, so you can definitely get community guidelined pretty easily.
Because I like they were so specific, and then they outlined it, and then they gave the example. They just made our whole job just completely useless.
Yeah. Someone said you should be disappointed with Marlon Wayans' hat.
Yeah, I chose.
He's like, I'm gonna do something fun today.
Let's just say we were around here when I decided I'm not making comments about anyone's physical appearance.
Fair enough.
And so when we got here, I was like,
that ship had already sailed.
I already made that promise to myself.
Fair enough. Okay, there's another clip around this was trending.
The Mahdi would be very disappointed with Marlon's hat.
So let me see if we can. This is 9 hours ago.
Okay.
On her YouTube channel. I didn't know she had a YouTube channel.
Neither did a majority of America.
And so yeah, she's sitting down. It's a panel. They're talking about the stuff, raising kids with love. Yeah, I mean, listen, I guess there's an audience for this. To me, that first statement was enough. It was like, oh man, she gone.
Yeah.
She's gone.
Yeah. Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
She's out of here.
She is holding on to those tricks.
She's out of here. Which again, like it coincides with the spirit of the age and the framing of this sort of stuff. And celebrating this as if this is a virtue and this is like we need to champion this, and you as a dad and all that sort of stuff. And she would never say this if the child was dealing with an eating disorder, and the eating disorder was telling her that she was fat when she wasn't fat, and so therefore she was bulimic and had to keep throwing up. And like we would never celebrate that in this regard.
Good heavens.
Right? And I'm not saying that gender dysphoria isn't real. I think there are people that feel like they are born in a wrong body.
Yeah.
But that makes no impact on whether or not reality is reflected in said statement. So it's like you yes, extend compassion to people who are feeling real things, because those feelings are real.
Yeah. At
the same time, I don't think we celebrate this and this is your launch within your podcast. That's something you're excited about. That this is a good thing.
Yeah, and extend compassion doesn't even mean that they can go do whatever they want to their bodies. You know, because we've had what's her name? Lex.
Yeah. Yep.
Lex on, and she talked about how she almost died multiple times
from the surgeries.
And then she had a bunch of cancerous tumors that like miraculously disappeared when she was transitioning back to female as she was born. And so there's like a bunch of stuff about that treatment that they just don't mention.
That's not good.
That's just taking people out, and that's aside from the self-deletion rates of people a few years removed.
Yeah, which they deny that study, by the way. That's the longest study of people who've gone through transitions.
I'm sure they do.
I think in Sweden, and they found out that the rates aren't any different, or oftentimes rates are higher. So I'm a bit disappointed in her. I'm not surprised.
Not surprised.
But I'm also a bit disappointed in the right.
Who's Marlon Wayans? Is he an actor?
Marlon Wayans is part of the Wayans family. They had an amazing show called In Living Color in the 90s.
Okay.
He had a show with his brother in the late 90s, comedian. He is responsible for the Scary Movie franchise.
Really?
Him and his brothers did that. So he's a guy that's been around for a long time. But recently he's coming out and doing interviews about this situation with one of his kids and kind of becoming like the mascot. Like he wore a bunch of like, rainbow colored stuff and was celebrated for that.
Is this the like leftist version of like when there's a parent with never mind. I'm ending that right there. All righty.
All right. Good. You caught yourself there. I like that. I don't know what you were gonna say, but I'm proud of you.
Zach coming off uncultured.
A little bit. But I mean,
I
he's
was
also
born
young.
in 98.
He was
Goodness
born,
gracious.
He was born after In Living Color was done.
I was born after this guy's show was canceled by the networks.
I don't know if there was. I think they just kind of censored it. I don't know if they were actually canceled because Jim Carrey got a star in Living Color. Jamie Foxx got a star in Living Color.
Sunset. Like that.
Who else? Living Color is responsible for some pretty big comedic careers.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was funny. Very inappropriate, especially as a kid. I was watching this stuff. But yeah, Jim Carrey got a big pop on A Living Color.
Jim Carrey.
J-Lo. That's right. Thank you, Chris.
Come on, somebody.
Yeah, Zach's Gen Z. How old are you? 27?
27 tomorrow.
27 tomorrow. We gotta figure out where we're gonna go for lunch. We never took Samaje out for lunch for his birthday.
Got him a cake.
We did. Well, we didn't get him a cake. His mom got him a cake.
Oh, fair enough.
We presented the cake.
Wow, that's really bad of us.
But yeah, we should figure out somewhere to go. All right. Go to the Patreon, see if there was something in there. I feel like there was stuff we forgot before we get into this topic. What is this? Is Trump okay? What is that? Jad posted that?
Oh, Jad's the plug.
Jad be coming through with the topics.
207. Let's see what this is about.
President Trump went to Michigan yesterday.
What was the timestamp?
207.
Okay.
Of the administration. Let's roll this clip D3.
But the court has ordered you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
Pull it back.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably...
Do Do you want to play it and react to it, or what are we doing?
I don't even know what this is. He just said, "Is
Trump
Trump
falls
okay?"
for his own MS-13 Photoshop.
Is Trump okay? 207. But
Trump was cooking though. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the interview. That interview yesterday was hilarious. Was that from yesterday?
Cool. Let's run to that.
Can you guys give us a synopsis
give
of
us
what the
synopsis
heck
of, like,
happened?
what is going on? And what are
Look
we
at some comments real quick while the chat's kind of filling us in. This was requested by Jade on Patreon. Someone said we should really rethink. Okay, so apparently he falls for some Photoshop.
Oh, okay. This is.
Oh no.
Oh wow.
Uh-oh. They're saying cognitive decline.
I mean, he's very old.
Okay. 1.25 speed, please. And the right timestamp. Okay. He ran out of spray tan. Yeah. Yo, y'all got no chill. Okay. Did Trump fall for some bad Photoshop? That is what's being alleged by some of the media. I am not hip to this story. Breaking Points is covering it. And so we're going to react to a clip. You sure you got the right time on that?
Yep.
Okay, let's jump into it. Shout out to Breaking Points for putting this together for us and our own Patreon community for suggesting it to us. Go ahead.
Let's roll this clip D3.
But the court has ordered you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he is.
Supreme Court says what the law is.
Listen, I was elected to take care of a problem.
So I think the problem that they're talking about is MS-13 deportation.
Mm-hmm.
They are deporting criminals who are not legal residents.
Okay.
I think most people don't have an issue with that. However, the potential of people who are citizens or aren't MS-13 members getting deported outside of the United States is problematic for some people.
Yeah.
And I think this connects to a Photoshop job on someone's MS-13 tattoo that wasn't really an MS-13 tattoo, I think.
Okay.
Let's see. Go ahead.
It was a unforced error that was made by a very incompetent man, a man that turned out to be incompetent, that you always said was wonderful, great genius, right? And now you find out, all of the media now, they're saying what a mistake they made. A man who was grossly incompetent allowed us to have open borders where millions of people flowed in. I campaigned on that issue.
No. That part is true.
Yep.
So we can dislike how some of this is being handled. You can dislike Doge. That part is true. The previous administration absolutely fumbled the border. A lot of the issue and the influx of 20 million, upwards of 20 million people, that is true. You cannot get away from that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't say it was my number one issue, but it was pretty close.
Right up there.
I campaigned on that issue. I've done an amazing job. I have closed borders. He said you couldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to do it. It would never happen. Well, it happened, and it happened very quickly. Wait a minute. When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it.
By law.
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang, and then they looked, and on his knuckles he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the
do
letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop. So let me just.
Okay, now I got to see this tattoo.
Do they show it, you think?
So because
No, they don't. Okay.
We'll find it. Hold on. Don't stay here for a second. Because there is, when you're exporting this many people at scale, and you're so aggressive with it, and there's not checks and balances in place, there will be some people that unfortunately get swept up in this.
Yeah.
There's apparently a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer that was swept up in this. There's all kinds of stuff that's been coming out, right? The people that should not have been, and potentially American citizens that were a part of this. Okay, but let's let them flesh this out, and let's look at the Photoshop. Go ahead.
It's Photoshop, Terry. You can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay.
Wait.
That's great.
Wait.
That's crazy.
I picked you because I've never heard of you.
Yeah.
So he just hates everybody over at ABC, and so this is the guy he picked because he never heard of him. So he said, "Figured it can't be that bad."
That's crazy.
Go ahead.
Terry, hey, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it's Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine,
No,
sir.
Terry,
I want to get to
Terry,
Ukraine.
no.
Now I got to see these tattoos.
All
Let
right.
it cook.
No. He had MS, as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in
now.
your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
All right. Well, we'll take a look.
It's you do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does?
So Donald Trump clearly believes that he deported someone with MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles, the letters MS and then the numbers 1-3 tattooed on his knuckles.
All right.
That would be Kilmore Abrego Garcia, who does have tattoos that experts, some have said, resemble what gang members might have. But to be very clear, Trump thinks it said MS-13 on his knuckles. What actually happened is that the White House put MS, they photoshopped, they actually did it, to Terry Moran's point, Photoshop MS-13 onto a picture of Kilmore Abrego Garcia's.
Oh, they did a translation. That's what they did.
Yeah. Okay.
For marijuana,
so
smile.
I see why he's saying
one.
I see
Christ.
the discretion. Okay. No,
And then-
that's a.
And then 3. I don't know how the skull represents a 3, but
Okay.
sure it does in culture.
Okay.
Okay.
They made that seem way more crazy.
They made it seem like he was almost dying.
Yeah.
And he had a brain tumor because.
Well, that's a different issue. What I'm saying is, Trump shouldn't have said he had MS-13 on his knuckles. That is not true.
Yeah.
Does this look like it could be an MS-13 tattoo, though?
It do look like that. Yeah.
Right?
The interesting thing, though, is that I'm not an expert on these things, as the interviewer so nicely said. Why would...
So this isn't Photoshop. This isn't like they took his knuckle, they erased it, and then they put MS-13. That's not what happened.
I thought that's what it was. I thought when they were talking about it, I thought it was
they
like an AI
clearly
thing.
added this
To translate
what the tattoos are saying.
Yeah. What's interesting is why would they use those icons to represent MS-13 when they only represent MS-13 when translated to English?
What?
Or no, like smile.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's code. Not every tattoo is going to be on the nose and say, I'm a member of MS-13. A lot of these tattoos tend to be coded. People use sports logos for tattoos. What? No, I'm saying like this is, I remember when the Jordan 14s came out and there was a gang in Sacramento that used the Roman numeral for 14 and it was a big deal and they were trying to get Jordan to not put the Roman numeral on the shoes.
So they could buy the shoes.
So they could buy the shoes and rep their gang, and then kids that had nothing to do with the gang were buying their shoes and getting killed because of Roman numerals. This stuff is code. This is how gangs move. They're not just going to say, I'm a member of MS-13 on their knuckles.
No, I caught that. What I'm saying is smile. It's a Mexican gang.
Yeah, Mexicans can speak English. It's not a Mexican gang. It's like a Salvadorian
South American?
gang. Yeah,
Salvadorian gang?
Yeah, it's not a Mexican gang. Some Mexicans are in it.
They speak Mexican.
Yeah,
Spanish.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
The actual MS-13 tattoo from what I'm seeing on Google search is actually MS-13. Okay, search MS-13 Google tattoo. Did I say that right, Salvadorian? To be fair, he should not have said it says MS-13. He should not have said that.
I mean, this
is
pretty on the nose.
MS-13.
MS-13 and hell. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty on the nose. Let's see.
That's like, okay.
They have MS-13 on his hand.
I think these are prison tattoos.
Yeah, so they're just having fun.
I'm not trying to be a tattoo expert here, okay? So don't come for me in the comment section. What I'm getting at is I do think there's a difference between I went to jail and I'm a verified gang member.
Yeah.
So therefore I don't give a crap anymore. I'm just gonna rock out and get the big branding on me.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
To identify myself. And I'm part civilian, part undercover gang member, and therefore I'm gonna be a bit more discreet. That's clearly a prison tattoo.
Yeah.
He's clearly in prison. Well, I don't know if he's in prison, right? And so that's what I'm saying. There's a distinction there that this gentleman. Yeah, I mean, I can't call it. I don't know if he's an MS-13 member or if he's affiliate. There's also, to be fair, what was the thing that got him caught up in the first place? This guy that got deported.
I think he was hanging out outside of Home Depot.
Was he really? Are you
Yeah.
Are you being serious?
Yes, I'm not being racist. And it's crazy. and the two other with two other MS-13 gang members, and they all had like some marijuana and coke on them. And the Home Depot thing, and you see the Home Depot thing.
I'm not laughing at this dude's misery. I'm so sorry.
But the Home Depot thing
is that real?
Yes, it's real.
Oh,
and the Home Depot thing is kind of interesting because I'm like, oh man, I grew up with seeing my fellow Mexicans outside Home Depot all the time. And those were the hardworking ones.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are on the bottom of the list.
Ones, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so when they said he's caught outside of Home Depot, I was like, maybe he wasn't MS-13. Maybe he was just trying to get some work.
Maybe he was affiliated. Maybe he was posing, because there's a lot of guys that maybe aren't, in other pockets of gang culture.
Yeah.
That want to be affiliated, loosely affiliated, like the icons, like the imagery, but aren't.
I got to fact check that.
Also, his wife posted
What's his name?
with emojis that conveniently hid his hand tattoos. Interesting. When MS-13 got to Honduras, they stopped a bus. Wait, hold on. You guys are going crazy in the chat. Let me catch up. When MS-13 stopped the bus and killed everyone on it to announce they were in the area. Yeah, I mean, listen, MS-13 are complete. It's awful. And I think if there's active members committing actual crimes, they absolutely should be deported. Absolutely. I don't think that's mean. Right? I don't think that's mean to say. The issue is, again, at scale, you might get some of these guys that this dude was trying to do his thing. Trying to work. You can't find anything about Home Depot? This man did you just make that up? Chat, did he make that up?
No, I don't think I made that up. I think I subconsciously heard it somewhere as a joke.
Someone said, okay, now this is a great question. Galen said, how about if he had left the gang? Does that change anything? If he was once upon a time in it, left it,
What if he's doing gang ministry?
What if he's doing prison ministry now?
Yeah.
So I'll go back. It does say something about Home Depot right there. In March 2020, he was detained along with 3 other people in Huntsville, Maryland, in the park of a Home Depot. Okay.
Oh,
Whew.
thank God.
Thank you. Jesus. Praise God. I thought Zach was just out here jumping out the window and just being unnecessarily stereotypical. Okay. So that seems to be it. So yeah, it's possible that he changed his life around and now got caught up in some stuff that had nothing to do with it anymore. Who knows? If he's here illegally, he needs to go and do it the right way. He's still a legal immigrant. So they're saying he definitely was an illegal immigrant? For sure?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, well, okay. So if he's an illegal immigrant, he has some gang ties, and then he gets swooped up with drugs on him, and he has tattoos that look like they're the nastiest group of people. So yeah, I think they made Trump look a little crazier than he did. I definitely think Trump's native language is hyperbole. Everything is he literally has one. Okay, so it's like I'm not saying that's right. I think he needs to not do that, but at the same time, it's not like he's completely. I understand the case for this guy being deported.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, I don't think he was arrested for tattoos though. He was deported because he was an illegal immigrant, and he also happened to be hanging out with the bottom of the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately,
he was already cleared to be deported, and 2 courts tied him to MS-13. Well, there you go. If that's true, then I get it. You can arrest for illegal immigration. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's stop the recording. Let's hit this last topic. Close everything out.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Okay. If Trump's version, it's Trump's version of Isaiah's word for word.
Word for word identical.
Oh, man, don't come from a man West Huff like that. That is. That's so funny. Man. All right, so the back and forth. This is turning into a back and forth, by the way.
Did he respond, Matt Walsh?
To him. I don't know if he responded to this.
Okay,
yeah. Let me start this recording here. I want you to pull up Matt Walsh's original tweet for me.
Matt Walsh put him in his video too.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
He reacts to that. You want me to I think you search for Matt Walsh.
Nerdy Christian.
No, not that. That's not.
No.
I want to pull up his Young Black Men. Search Young Black Men. Let's see if we find it.
This is it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Sweet. Okay, so there was a tweet several weeks ago. Let me open this up. Start the recording again. There's a tweet several weeks ago from Matt Walsh after a tragic situation in Texas that took the life of a young man and has now turned into a massive debacle over race in America. Matt Walsh put out this tweet, and I think people found this an issue, and I myself included, and I don't care how much people come for me in the comments. Young black men are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. Okay. So the people who were involved in this, the victim's dad, repeatedly asked not to make this about race. Repeatedly try to offer up a degree of mercy to the situation. This has now exploded into a whole nother.
But that's him giving into the race hustlers.
And that's and so like to then go after the victim's dad is just gross. It's just gross. So Matt Walsh makes this statement. He doesn't provide data to support this. He doesn't provide any studies to support this. He throws this out. And I've went over the numbers, and we can go into numbers later again. But Nerdy Christian, who I've had on the channel before, there's a lot me and him disagree on in terms of some of his liberal-leaning views. But he responded to Matt Walsh. I responded to Matt Walsh, going over some of the actual math. How many black men are in America? How many murders are committed? How many violent crimes are committed? How common is this sort of stuff? And you basically come to the conclusion that there's less than 1%, about 1% of the situation of black men committing these violent crimes. Nerdy Christian responded, went back and forth with him. He responded to Nerdy Christian, didn't really have a lot of arguments, just kind of attacked him and just kind of clowned him. And so I wanted to react to that because I think this is an important conversation. And by the way, the reason why I'm reacting to this is the same reason why I push back against Fresh and Fit. The same reason I push back. So when Fresh and Fit frame women today, women today don't deserve anything. Women today are all hypergamous. Women today are all modern women that just want to let the alpha lay and make the beta pay and trick you. It's the same exact framework. It's too small of a sample size of a specific type of woman in a specific type of city that you keep coming across because you want to go out to the club at night. So I think that the miscalculation on both Fresh and Fit towards women today and in Matt Walsh in this situation, not all situations, but in this situation, I think it's the same thing. It's an issue with selection bias.
Okay.
You're using too small of a sample size, and then you're extrapolating that, and you're making a hasty generalization fallacy about all women today or about all young black men. Okay. So Nerdy Christian responded. You have this queued up at a specific timestamp?
I don't.
You know, okay, go ahead. That's a long video. I don't want to go over his entire video. Let's play the reaction when Matt Walsh gets into it with him.
All right.
So yeah, put Matt Walsh on the screen.
Influencers who are angry at me for my take on the Austin Metcalf murder. And I guess we missed this guy. He's a Christian influencer responding to my tweet about the Austin Metcalf killing, where I talk about how young black males are disproportionately violent. And this guy goes by the handle Nerdy Christian and has a bit of a following.
That's me.
But he didn't like that very much. And here's what he has to say. Listen. I just cannot imagine at this point in time using the term problematic unironically as he does here. Yeah, that's problematic.
He shouldn't have used that term. I told him stay away from all the woke language.
Yeah.
Stop saying problematic. Don't say systemic.
He did the same thing in the debate.
Yeah, don't do that.
And they kept getting him torched in the chat.
Yeah, don't do that because you're because the merits of your argument will be viewed through the lens of the type of language you use, and if you're using liberal language, you're instantly going to get torched.
Yes.
Sorry, guys, that's a bit problematic. That's problematic language. I've already tuned you out the moment you do that. You've advertised yourself at the outset as a kind of limp-wristed, pretentious wimp, and I can't take you seriously.
Yes, a very Christ-like speech, Matt. Certainly abiding by Colossians 4:6, except not really. It's also quite the ad hominem. You're ignoring the substance of my argument, which was that implicit bias exists, and you were displaying it with your generalization of an entire race of young men. But hey, whatever. Go off, King.
Also, notice what he doesn't do.
Go off, King is kind of funny.
As we saw with the other influencers who were angry, as we always see in these situations, he doesn't dispute my point. My point about the data, about the demographics and the data, who's committing the majority of violent crime and so on. That was my point.
So
he doesn't dispute.
So pause it, Matt. I would love to debate you on this. I will debate you on this in a heartbeat. You want to talk about data? We can talk about data. We can talk about the 52% of crimes are committed by black men. That's false. That study's been debunked by the FBI. So if you want to go into the data and have we can have an in-person debate on this topic, think it's interesting he went after Nerdy Christian, even though our video performed fairly well too. Maybe they were just looking at short form content.
Yeah.
But I would love to debate you on this. And I don't have to attack you. I don't have to make fun of your beard or your glasses. I don't have to do any of that sort of stuff. But I would love to debate you on this. Go ahead.
He doesn't present any kind of counter argument. He doesn't say, well, Matt is wrong about this point, and here's the data to back me up. He doesn't do that. None of them ever do.
I did that.
All the people get offended and they start blubbering about how it's problematic. They never, ever.
I never said it was problematic. I just said you were wrong based on the data.
Attempt to dispute the actual point because they can't. So, that's all that really needs to be said. You don't offer a rebuttal. So there's no argument to refute here. You didn't present one.
Good, sir. The video you're responding to was never intended as a direct rebuttal. Did you listen to the first 10 seconds?
Sometime tomorrow, I want to talk about why this is really problematic and racist. But first, I want to get ahead of that.
That's another mistake he made, is then you say racist. Like, don't, because what it does is then you're labeling it. Deal with the substance of the argument. Why is the argument? Why is the generalization that young black men, which is a very broad group of people,
super.
Why is that inaccurate to the reality? And why is the burden on proof is actually on Matt Walsh? When you say young black men at this point, you got to give me something to work with. Because there's no studies that show that. There are studies that he's quoted that are dated studies, or I don't know if he's quoted, but people have quoted 52% of murders or 52% of violent crime is committed by black people. That study is not accurate anymore, according to the FBI statistics.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Posing a misconception that I think a lot of us have about racism and what it is.
As you can see, the purpose of my video was not to rebut your data, which you never specify, but I did present to you an argument. It just wasn't the one that you wanted. The purpose of my original clip was to level set. It was to lay the groundwork, because we have to lower defenses when we talk about this topic, so that so often go up when we discuss racism, because no one wants to feel like they're being compared to the KKK. You actually came out all right because of this too, because I obviously had an issue with what you said, but I wasn't calling you a racist. It's kind of funny that you get so offended, because I was specifically pointing out that anyone can fall victim to implicit bias, as I believe that you have. So you shouldn't even have felt uniquely called out. But anyways, hey, challenge accepted. Let's dispute your actual point, or rather two actual points, because you engage in racism twice in your original tweet in kind of slightly different ways. So we'll address first the general accusation that you make at the end, that young black men are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree.
Foundationally, I've said this in my earlier video, the reason why this argument doesn't work is because we could find aspects that young white men are wildly disproportionate at to a crazy degree.
Yeah.
That's not an indictment of all white men or white culture.
Come on.
Right? We're talking DUI. We're talking school shootings in the actual definition of a school shooting.
Incest.
Mass shooting, incest, bestiality.
Goodness gracious.
All of those things, young white men are disproportionately
excelling at.
We don't take that and say, see, white culture is corrupt.
Yeah.
We don't do that. Why? Because we understand there's a very small percentage and a small fragment of the greater population that is doing these things. And that small sample size is not enough to extrapolate and say, this is now an indictment on all white men.
Yeah.
By the way, this is how the left argues. Is this not what we hear on the left towards police officers?
Yeah.
Right? So you take a very small sample of police officers that wild out, and then you extrapolate that, and you said, see, police officers is racist. It's like, wait a minute, you're arguing like a liberal by doing this sort of thing, because the sample size is too small to extrapolate. Go ahead.
Since you don't actually cite any specific data and just vaguely refer to some boogeyman that you call the data, I'm going to guess that you're referring to the fact that a disproportionate share of violent crime is committed by black men relative to their share of the population. I'm guessing that you're talking about the fact that 14% of this population has been arrested for over 40% of violent crime over the last 10 years, according to the FBI.
So remember that data? So now, that's what the actual data is, 40%, not 52%.
Yeah.
So out the rip, anyone that's floating that number around is wrong.
Yeah.
Now, that's still alarming. That's still an alarming number.
Yeah.
Right? 12%, 40%. That's still that is a disproportionate number. The question is it disproportionate enough to hypergeneralize an entire demographic of people and say there's now an issue with black culture and black people in general? As if either black people are just more violent, or black culture as a whole makes them more violent.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Explorer. However, it's worth noting that's arrests, not convictions. So this ignores the 50% of violent crime that goes uncleared each year, meaning that no arrest is made. So I'd even take everything here with a little bit of a grain of salt. There are reasons that this could be, that the actual figures could be lower or higher here.
That's right.
Which I'll
so 40%, that's arrests, that's not convictions. In certain instances, those don't lead to convictions. Certain instances that do. people would argue that black people are more likely to get convicted. So the jury's out on that.
Yeah.
I'll display in some text right here. But yeah, let's run with it. Say we have 40% of violent crimes committed by black men. The thing is, once you glance past that surface stat, the holes quickly become apparent. And this is where your racist bias shows, Matt. What ratio of black men are committing these crimes? Is it a large enough ratio to label young black men across the board as violent? No, you've fallen victim to the hasty generalization fallacy. So let's unpack this. Yes, 40% of violent crime seems to be committed by black males, but what proportion of black males commit these crimes? Well, there's actually no way to tell quite for sure with the data that's available, at least not over a multi-year period. We don't have a count of the actual crimes or the actual criminals for each category. We just know the count of crimes. Different people commit more than one crime. We don't know the number of convictions. We just know the arrests. So things get pretty messy. But we do know from this DOJ report that over a 10-year period, roughly 44% of individuals who were previously incarcerated for violent crimes will recidivate for another violent crime.
Okay, so that right there already skews the math.
Yeah.
That means that when a crime is committed, 44% of the people that have committed this said violent crime have previously committed the crime before.
Yes.
Okay. So you're already dealing with data that, again, small percentage of people committing a large percentage of the crime.
Yeah.
Right? Not 1 out of 5 black men are walking around committing violent crimes.
Yeah,
1 out of 10 black men are walking around committing. Right? It's probably, according to the data, 1 out of 100 black men have committed some sort of violent crime. And that's that's removing the fact of repeat offenders. So when you factor in repeat offenders, I would guess, and when I did the math, it's probably less than a percent, right?
Yeah.
So less than 1% of black men are committing this. So this whole black men are violent, black culture is violent. It's like, no, you're dealing with less than 1% of the population.
Come on.
Go ahead.
So we have the total violent crime count for black Americans over 10 years here, an estimation of 80% of it being attributable to men, and that recidivism rate. And with that, we can calculate an estimate of about 1.25 million black men having committed violent crimes in the last 10 years, which comes out to just over 1 in 20. That's a far cry from your generalization that all young black men are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. Now, to my next point, it's obvious that the color of one's skin is not the causal factor. What's the causal factor here?
Okay, so did everybody catch that? So over I think you said 20 years, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 20 years, 1 in 20, right? Over the course of 20 years, when you reduce that to a year, it's less than 1%. And that, again, that's not factoring in repeat criminals.
Yep.
So then he gets into some of the causal reasons. Go ahead.
That's what you want to talk about. That's what would need to be changed. If you want to talk about an issue in a population, you should talk about the causal factors behind that issue. Obviously, the color of their skin is not the causal factor. Now,
well, I don't think Matt would make that point, to be fair to Matt.
Yeah.
Matt would argue culture.
Yeah, he would probably argue culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And so to me, I would say, what is culture? Right? And so, but again, is black culture or white culture too broad of a generalization? Yes. I would say yes. I would say yes. I think when you start saying this group of culture, because black culture in California is different than black culture in Mississippi.
Come on.
Is different than black culture in New York.
Yeah.
Is different than black culture in a middle-class neighborhood.
Same with white culture.
Same thing with white culture.
With all those same regions, it's going to be drastically
different. Yeah. If you're talking white culture in California, you're going to get more of the yuppie, hippie, yoga, latte approach. If you go down south, it's going to be more of the southern hospitality white. If you go to West Virginia, you're going to get some trailer park white people. If you so
West
and so you're going to get different people. If you go along the poverty line, you probably start tapping into white gangs, biker gangs.
Yeah.
Very different culture. But white biker gangs is very different than soccer moms in Encinitas.
Yeah.
Very different culture.
Yeah.
Right. So again, is this too broad of a generalization to say white culture or black culture? I think so. Because again, remove this for police culture. Police culture is too violent. Police culture is too racist. It doesn't work. Yeah. This is why it was problematic to say these sorts of things towards police. Because when you actually did the math, it was like, wait a minute, wait. This is such a rare occurrence, and it happens so infrequently. It's not as prevalent as we think it is. Now, when it does happen, we should have consequences for police that act out.
Yeah.
Right? And so this was people rightfully so pushing back against some of the police or oral racist narrative.
Yep.
Right? Go ahead.
Obviously, it's the culture that I'm talking about. But first, one, you didn't say anything about that culture. You implied that if one had to guess the race of an assailant in an altercation, here, we'll put your tweet back up here. You said if someone had to guess the race of the assailant in an altercation that involved a white man and a black man, that the black man would clearly be the assailant. That's what you implied.
Yeah, and again, you would need more details than that.
Yeah.
If I said, hey, two guys got into a confrontation, one of them had face tattoos, and one of them died, you're probably gonna think the guy with the face tattoos killed the other guy.
Yeah.
Right? But you just say, guess the race. You got to give me more to work with than just the race.
If the black guy's wearing a suit, now which one do you think got stabbed and died?
Right.
So it's like,
statistically, though, this makes no sense. And you're going to say probably, well, black men commit crimes at a disproportionate degree. To which I say, yeah, and they're the victims of crimes to a disproportionate degree, too. The misguided way in which you have applied the statistic means that the black man in this imaginary scenario of yours is both more likely to be the offender and to be the victim. Now, obviously, the way in which you've applied the data, even on a purely statistical basis here, we've shown is kind of nonsense. I'm going to hold you to what you said, too. You didn't say anything about culture or any other actual causal variables. You said something about race. We all know that if you added a detail to your imaginary scenario that the black man, say, was in a suit and tie and the white man was in a wife beater, the vast majority of people would assume that the white man was the perpetrator. But why is this? Why does that make a difference? Because it's not about race, dude, and you know that. Race is not the active variable.
Right.
Funny enough, while you say black culture...
Which is kind of ironic.
Because here's my opinion.
Why are we telling Matt Walsh it's not about race?
That's the thing.
He did
this should be beneath Matt Walsh.
He did the racism documentary.
Right.
Am I a racist?
Right.
The whole meme was that it's not about color.
It's not about color. Right? That's the frustrating part about it. Go ahead.
Is the problem. The very conservative scholar Thomas Sowell argues that black culture is merely derived from poor white Southern sharecropper culture. So what you're really...
I love that he quoted conservative voices in all of his citations. Thomas Sowell is a black conservative that all folks on the right love and hold him in high esteem.
Yeah.
So he's pointing out, according to Thomas Sowell, that you're conflating it again.
Yep.
Involves both blacks and whites. But you know what? I would disagree with you that the primary variable is culture in the first place. That's not what the data shows. The data shows that the variables that affect the rates of crime, known as criminogenic factors, they're not primarily of race or culture, but rather things much more common to us all. This study from the Brookings Institution found
another conservative source. The Brookings Institute, if you guys didn't know, again, a thing that I agree with, that I've heard almost all these conservatives talking about, do these three things, you will overcome poverty. You will overcome generational poverty. Do you guys know what the three things are? You remember what they are, Zach?
Stay married.
No, graduate high school.
Graduate high school.
Get a full-time job. Get married before you have kids.
Come on. That's a low bar.
98% of people who do those three things end up breaking the cycle of poverty that they come from.
Crazy.
Brookings Institute. This is often beloved and quoted by conservatives all the time.
Yep.
From the Dennis Pragers to, I'm not talking just one side I'm talking everybody quotes this. So it's great that he's quoting the Brookings Institute as a way to show that, like, he's not pulling leftist crazy propaganda stuff. Go ahead.
This happen when you control for criminogenic factors. 1, the racial disparities in crime disappear, and 2, the racial disparities in police shootings also seem to disappear. The fact is that much of what we as a society attribute to race on both the left and the right is really attributable to underlying factors of class, environment, trauma, unemployment, education, etc. So,
okay, so this is kind of what I was saying, was that, like, if you were to remove, and don't take this out of context, if you were to remove black people from the United States entirely, and given their history, they tend to be a large population of them tend to make up the lower socioeconomic classes in America because of the history, right?
Right.
If you were to remove all of that, there would still be a portion of white folks that would make up that lower socioeconomic class. And my point would be, like, those people would just make up the same crime statistics, but it would just look watered down.
Yeah.
But they would just make up for the same amount of crime that was happening when that portion was taken up with black folks. And so it's kind of what he's saying. It's like, it's more about socioeconomics,
right?
And it's a class thing. It's what you're saying.
It's a class thing.
Yeah.
It's a class thing in terms of where these people live, the density of these populations,
Exactly,
the access to different education, so on and so forth. Like it's a holistic thing that impacts a specific type of people living in a specific type of environment. And most people don't know because most people don't know middle-class black people. That's the sad part. Like here, let me give you guys a real, let me guys a real example. If you go to Maryland, in Maryland, there are middle-class black communities.
What?
Like 6-figure, everyone owns their homes. The neighborhoods are predominantly black, right? Bowie, outside of the DC area, there's suburbs all over there.
Yeah.
Those communities are not high in crime. Those communities are not out here doing what's happening in Chicago or in the projects of Atlanta or New York.
They brought crime to middle-class neighborhoods. It wasn't like that. It's like
that's not what happened.
They were middle-class and they ended up being just like all the other middle-class folk.
Yes. Same thing. Did we lose it for a second? Same thing in parts of Atlanta. There are middle-class black neighborhoods, middle-class areas that are not experiencing the same things that you're seeing happen in poor areas in terms of the crime rates. And most of the crime is happening where people live in proximity to each other, against each other, because of these socioeconomic factors. And it sucks. Like, it's sad that this is what people are dealing with. Again, someone said, are you seriously trying to make the argument that groups of specific races can't have disproportionate problems that affect them versus other races? I'm saying if you consider poor white people living in close proximity with each other, and then you consider that to poor black people and living in close proximity with each other, I don't think you're going to find different massive disparities in black people just being disproportionately more violent. No, I don't think that's a thing. And I think you have to have that data and provide the proof on that. The burden proof is on you, right? And so someone said, let me see, I'm going to... someone said, we know what we mean. I think most people know what someone is talking about when they say black culture. And again, to me, this is too broad of a generalization because we don't connect white culture to bestiality, DUI, or school shooters. It's too broad of a generalization. You can say poor intercity culture. You can say gangster rap culture. You can say drill culture. You can say so many other things. But to say black culture is more violent, to me, shows you don't know many black people, because there are upper class, middle class black people that do not behave the way you see on your TikTok feed, that aren't more violent, that aren't beating up people and joining gangs. That's the reality. And if you don't know these people, that's an issue with your selection bias and who you're exposing to. Going full circle to the fresh and fit thing. Women are hypergamous. Women just want to let the alpha lay, find the big alpha guy, and just let them do whatever they want, and then make the beta pay and raise the alpha baby because women are hypergamous. It's in their nature. Then when you really get to the layer beneath it, what he's really talking about is modern women. Then when you get a layer beneath that, he's not just talking about modern women, he's talking about modern women in major cities who go to the nightlife. Oh, so you're dealing with a selection of women that have been indoctrinated around hyper weirdo feminist ideologies with access to self-destructive activities, so on and so forth. When you factor all that in, then it would make sense that those women would behave that way. But to hyper-generalize women and say, women today, modern women, it's too broad of a spectrum to say this. And the same thing happens about men, by the way. Same thing gets hyper-generalized about men. These are too broad. And so what happened, the reason why this is important is because we view men and women as image bearers, right? Men and women as image bearers. We view black people, white people as image bearers. We view all people who are created in the image of God as reflecting God's value, unique design, intrinsic value. When we do these things, when we hyper-generalize, it distorts our perversion, it distorts and perverts our view of image bearers. So you start seeing women as sluts and whores. Women are just all sluts and whores, right? If you're consuming red pill content. If you're listening to the stuff Matt Walsh is saying about young black men, now all young black men are violent. And so your view of someone is perverted, right? Instead of all the other social cues that go into, well, how's he dressed? Does he have face tattoos? What are all the other variables considering the person you're now interacting with that are cues in communication. There's a chasm of a difference of meeting an OnlyFans model at the club and meeting an attractive woman at church. There's a chasm of a difference of meeting a black man who is in a specific part of the community and around a potential gang versus meeting a black man in the library. There's a chasm of a difference there, right? And so what we're doing is we're hyper generalizing. It's called the hasty generalization fallacy. And then that's perverting and distorting our view of image bearers. And Matt, as a Catholic, should not want any group of people to have their view distorted. That doesn't mean that there's not real conversations that we could have about the implications of gangster rap music and what are the downstream effects of people that consume gangster rap music. What are the downstream effects of young black kids in the Bronx that are listening to drill rap, which in my opinion is absolutely demonic and satanic. We could have that conversation. But to hypergeneralize is black culture, right? I just think that's too broad, and I think it creates harm for people who really love Jesus. Shout out to Luke. He said, "Oh man, I don't know. I've lived in." Okay, so here's the thing, Luke. Here's the thing. Here's the issue. I've lived in these communities. Hypergeneralization fallacy, mixed with a anecdotal example. Just because you've lived in these communities, that doesn't mean anything. I understand it's bad out there and is more violent in black community. My view isn't perverted. It's more violent in poor communities. It's more violent in poor communities. That could be Hispanic communities. That can be that could be black communities. That could be white communities. You've never been around white biker gangs. You've never been around Hell's Angels. Really? So yes, your view is perverted because you're doing two things. You're using an anecdotal example. You're using an anecdotal example of your experience. You've also clearly never been to a middle-class black neighborhood. Right? Have you been to a middle-class black neighborhood where everyone, the median income in the area is $100,000 a year? Because that's perverting your view. So when you go into an environment like Atlanta, where there's even upper class black neighborhoods, everyone in the area is black and they're all multimillionaires. That's going to distort. That's not going to distort. That's going to change your perception of things. Right? So that's the issue. Your view is being perverted because you're taking a snapshot of your anecdotal example and then you're spreading that out and you're hyper generalizing black people. That's the issue. So yeah, so now be specific, Luke. You got to be specific. You have to be specific. Poor, lower class communities with higher propensities of crime that are in close proximity to each other. That's different. You got to be specific. You cannot hyper generalize like this. I've had black friends killed in the community, and the white. I've had more black friends killed. Yes, I've had black friends killed too. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. I've experienced these things too. I grew up in black neighborhoods too. I've also been in black upper class neighborhoods. I've been to poor white areas. I've been to rich white areas. I've been to poor black areas. I've been to right. I've done that too. Ruslan, trying to understand. Are you not agreeing with a small percentage of a certain race is responsible for 40% of it? Well, again, that number's already distorted. So it's not 47%. It's 40%. So we're already using wrong data. So yes, a small percentage of the community is committing 40% of the crime. You have to factor in repeat offenders, which 44% of those folks. And when you actually do the math on all that, we're talking less than 1% annually. Less than 1% of black men annually are committing 40% of the violent crimes, usually against other black men they live in community with. Oftentimes, people within their own neighborhoods and sometimes with their own friends. Right? So, yes, like all of this factors in. And when you come in and say, well, black culture, it's like, wait a minute, what do you mean? Which black culture? And what part of the world? And where? Where? Because you see what I'm saying? So that's the issue. Is like, yes, it's different. It's going to be different where you go. And so if you can't parse out the difference between anecdotal versus data, we're talking less than 1% that yes commits 40% of the violent crimes against people they live in proximity with. That's terrible. That is a conversation that the black community needs to have. That is a conversation they are having. That is a conversation that has happened and will continue happening with the Stop the Violence campaigns. And I've always seen this happen as someone that's grown up in these areas. Dr. Rumar is hilarious for the fact that is really funny. Ken F, thank you for the super chat. That is funny. So anyway, yeah, someone said honestly, most black men like me are just chill guys. Not if you get your information from Matt Walsh and TikTok. Not if you get your yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Poor communities because of poor culture and violence. A lot of black culture in the U.S. is hella toxic. What is a lot of? What is a lot of? I would agree that any form of like drill culture is toxic. But when you start getting to a lot of, what does that mean? What is a lot of? 50%, 100%, 90%, 20%, 5%. That's the issue. You're hyper generalizing. I get you. I just hate seeing people die, and being in real prison is hard to understand. Coming to race and violence, especially depending on what you're exposed to. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I've had friends die. I've had friends go to jail, all that sort of stuff. What are your thoughts on parts of black culture blamed for this, like music, role models, large number of single mothers? That is the point I have heard Matt Walsh, Charlie Kirk make. Yeah, and that's not just Matt Walsh and Charlie Kirk. Delano Squires, who we've had on, who's a good friend of mine, who works for who's the folks that did the Project 2025? Who are the people that Project 2025? My buddy Delano Squires, amazing black conservative, has done debates with a lot of this sort of stuff, and I think has done a great job of leaning into these conversations. So yes, I think there's valid critiques to be made there, but it's, see what you said though, Tanner. You said parts of the black community or the black culture. Parts. That's the issue, right? Parts of the black culture. Black culture vary too much to generalize. Like Nigerian Americans, for example, are crazy hardworking, don't fit in a black culture stereotype. Well, I mean, again, this is where you get nuanced with this, right? Like there's infighting within Dagon folks who are first and second generation from Nigeria or Ghana versus American descendants of slaves. And there's a lot of discrepancy within those cultures. Would you say that folks who are from Ghana and Nigeria, the parents are from Ghana and Nigeria, are less black or less a part of black culture? But those are, by the way, Nigerians, we're talking data, Nigerians are often outperforming white Americans. Folks who come from Nigeria, like crushing it. So what is that? Is that not black culture? Right? This is what I'm saying. Like so much of this is anchored on perspective. So if your perspective is, hey, my parents came from Nigeria. My parents came from Sudan. My parents came from Ghana. I've been to Ghana. The opportunity I have here is amazing. They outperform, they crush many times native black people and white people here. Now, if you grow up in daggone West Virginia, where there's very little economic opportunity, you're probably going to succumb to that because your perspective is limited, white or black. Who are the biggest, there's a lot of poor white people, a lot of inbreeding happening in West Virginia, right? We don't take that and then hyper generalize and say, well, white people are just more depraved and their white culture is just more wicked. Like, no, that's not how you process these informations. You shouldn't do it to police. You shouldn't do it to white people. You shouldn't do it to black people. Not super deep. Like the fact that I got to even persuade some of you guys, not super deep. Right? Shout out to Jeffrey. He said, as a black man who had to live in the NYC projects, the stress from poverty can encourage aggression. Yeah. NYC projects, that's a different machine. Very different than the $1 million homes where it's a predominantly black community in Atlanta. Right? Very different. Very different. And so again, if you've never been exposed to this and your only connection is what you see on TikTok, on Instagram, in drill music videos and rap music videos, then I'm telling you, you have a distorted perception because I have friends whose dads and moms worked really hard. They're doctors. The children grow up, are amazing, and they're black. Like Atlanta is one of these pockets where yes, there's violence and there's bad areas, but there's amazing areas in Atlanta that are thriving and crushing it. Right? So yeah, I think we got to be very, very careful with that, man. It's like you're generalizing stuff. Now, again, if you want to get more specific and say, man, the gangster culture, the overlap between pockets of black communities and gangster culture, you have to be very specific because what we don't want to do is distort image bearers. That's my concern here. You must be coming in late because we went over the numbers. You have a different standard when it comes to topic. You jump to hypergeneralize every single time anyone makes any argument without race. Are you talking? We've went over the numbers. You're late. You got to be late. You got to be late. Right, Daniel. But yes, black culture is not a monolith. That's what I'm trying to tell you, dog. I shouldn't have to sell this to people. Just like white biker gang culture is not the same as white yuppie culture, is not the same as white banker culture that runs Wall Street. Not the same thing, fam. That's yes, precisely. Yes. White culture is not a monolith. Black culture is not a monolith. That is exactly what I'm getting at. And when we frame it as such, it's a distortion. When Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. That's a distortion. That's wrong. That's wrong. Yes, African immigrants are not part of black American culture. Pretty sure everyone agrees with that. I don't know if everyone agrees with that. And then when did they stop being a part of black culture? Or when did they start being a part of black culture? Is it when they were first generation removed, second generation removed, third generation removed? I don't know. Right? So again, if you can't say that, then you have to be more specific with your definitions. Shout out to CB the artist. He said people need to travel, people need to get invited to a barbecue. Some of you guys just need some different friends, man. Some of you guys need to go outside, touch grass, meet some different people, and you'll see that the world is way less dangerous and harmful than you've been indoctrinated to believe it is. People are often very nice and very kind and very, very loving. Yes, this is of all races, of all persuasions. You don't, wait a minute. You want me to pull up data on inbreeding in West Virginia? There's entire documentaries made about this. There's entire documentaries made about this. You want me to pull up data on this for you? You serious right now? Someone's never been to West Virginia. Yes, this happens in West Virginia. This happens amongst white people in West Virginia at alarmingly disproportionate rates. We don't use that to hypergeneralize white people. I don't understand if you're understanding the point that I'm making. My little sister lived in Compton, and she felt safer there than in the lower class white area. The guy in her apartment looked out for her. So crazy to call it a race issue. He said, shout out to Brother Joseph. He said, I'm invited to the carne asada. Is it, you mean to make carne asada? Carne asaria? I think you meant to say carne asada. Just don't bring a salad. I got you, bro. My wife is from South Central. She has always told me folks from Africa have a totally different culture. Yep. Okay, I got to run. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you so much. This should be redirecting to our main channel video. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. I think you guys will like it. And we will be back tomorrow. All right, we're out of here, guys. Peace.